The Arab states, some background information. There's much diversity in the Arab world today. Just so you're familiar with this, and you'll see this in your textbook on chapter 9, that there's 22 countries, 338 million people. Iran is not considered an Arab country. Literacy rates range from 56% to 96%, and the history ranges more than 5,000 years. The Islamic faith is the second largest faith in the world after Christianity. The second largest faith in the world after Christianity. 1.2 billion followers, or 20% of the world population. Arabs originally spread Islam, but now the minority. People who practice the Islamic faith are called Muslims, literally meaning submitters to the will of God. There's no hierarchy in the religion of Islam. There's no priesthood, no individuals, or no churches. Now they'll have a leader that will lead prayer on Friday. However, there's no hierarchy, as you may be familiar with other types of religion or religious practices. Muhammad is the prophet of the Islamic faith. He was born in 570 and died in 632. In 610, it is said he received his first visions from the angel Gabriel. These visions from the angel continued for another 20 years, which formed the Quran, which is the holy book of Islam. The Quran, as I'm sure you've heard about, sometimes spelled Quran, was revealed by God to the Prophet Muhammad in Arabic. The Quran was revealed by God to the Prophet Muhammad in Arabic. And it is considered to contain literal words, actual words of Allah or God. It contains stories, cautions, social and political economic laws. The Quran embraces all areas of human affairs, from personal to international relations. There's no separation of church and state in Islam. So in our culture, we have a separation of religion and government, but people of Islam follow the Quran as if it's their Bible. This is in the government along with religious practices. Along with no separation of church and state, it contains stories, cautions. So, for instance, if you wanted to consider divorcing someone, the Quran tells a story of a wife and a husband and their marriage, and kind of gives the indication of whether or not they should divorce, or in the story what is considered to be a reason to divorce. It gives guidance in all aspects. Islam is the only world religion that offers rules by which to govern a state, as well as a set of spiritual beliefs in its holy book. So that's the no separation of church and state. So it is the only world religion that offers rules by which to govern a state, the government, state, as well as a set of religious beliefs in the holy book. The religious practices. Muslims considered Muhammad the last and greatest prophet. Other prophets included Abraham, Noah, Moses, and Jesus. There's similar practices between Islam and the Jewish faith. Islamic law, Muslims may not drink alcoholic beverages, eat pork, or gamble. Okay, which is very similar to Jewish faith, where they don't eat pork. And there's some other similarities with with the two. Okay, let's look at the 5 obligations of Muslims. Okay, the 5 religious practices of Muslims. Okay, I think I would know this if I were you as a student. First, we have bear public witness. Okay, so as a Muslim, you need to practice these 5 areas. In other words, you need to express the conviction that you are Muslim. Number 2, you need to recite prayer 5 times a day. Okay, 5 times a day. This is from early morning to evening. Each time after washing hands, arms, face, and feet. Now, obviously, in modern time, you can't be washing your feet in the middle of the day in an office. So, rubbing lightly over socks is permitted. But when you pray, when you recite prayer, you have to face the Mecca, okay? And you go through a prescribed motion of standing, kneeling, touching the floor. And if you watch the YouTube video, that's indicated here at the bottom of your screen, right here. If you pull up that link or you plug that into your browser, you will see how one recites prayers 5 times a day. And there's a congressional on Fridays, which is held on Friday at noon by a spiritual leader. Alms are given to the poor. In other words, it is your duty as a Muslim to share with the poor. A small percentage of your wealth needs to be given to the poor. Fasting during Ramadan. Fasting during Ramadan. Now let's tell you what Ramadan is. It's central during this time. It's the ninth month. Ramadan is the 9th month on the Islam lunar calendar. Okay, it commemorates the Prophet Muhammad receiving revelations, information from the angel Gabriel. It's a time to reflect on the meaning of Islam. And fasting means you abstain from food, drink, and sexual intercourse during the daylight hours. Okay, nourishment is only for the sick, elderly, the pregnant, or the very young. And this is during the whole month, and you fast during the daylight hours. Obviously, if you're sick, you're old, you're young, you're pregnant, you don't fast. And as a Muslim, you must make the pilgrimage to the Mecca at least once during your lifetime. And again, there's an excellent YouTube video regarding how this takes place and those who make this journey to the Mecca. And again, you can go for somebody if you are old or you can't make it, but that's part of the 5 religious practices of being a Muslim. And then lastly, Muslims are generally Sunni or Shiite. Sunni is 90% of the world's Muslims, and they believe that Muslim leadership in the early years passed on to a series of caliphs. And a caliph is a head of state, the title or the ruler of an Islamic community. Okay, Shiites believe that leadership should be passed down from Muhammad's bloodline, starting with his martyred cousin, son-in-law Ali, and his descendants. So most of the Muslims are Sunni, and they believe that the Muslim leadership should be passed on through a series of caliphs, which are considered the heads of states, or the title for a ruler of an Islamic community. A Shiite believes that it should be in the bloodline. And those are the 2 areas. And that's it for chapter 9. Thank you. Just to review, sorry, I gave you a little, just to review, I would know the 5 practices of the Islamic faith, and understand, that it is second to Christianity in the world, and there's 1.2 billion followers. And thank you.